Everybody, this is Lauren Baker, founder of Search Engine Journal, and welcome to today's special e-commerce webinar. Today we're doing things a little bit differently than we typically do with our SEJ webinars. We're doing an SEJ eSummit themed webinar where we're essentially bringing you an e-commerce double feature on how to dominate e-commerce in 2020. So with us today, we'll have two presenters. One, Andreas Dzumla from Longtail UX, and also Anna Crowe, the assistant editor at Search Engine Journal. Andreas will be presenting on dominating your e-commerce category in 2020, what you need to know. And then Anna, after Andreas is finished, will be presenting on how online stores can drive organic traffic with on-page SEO. So really, we're going to go through a lot of data, statistics, takeaways on everything ranging from how you can present that and optimize the e-commerce and shopping experience for searchers, as well as how you can also drive organic traffic to your e-commerce store at the end of the day. From a format perspective, since we are having a double feature, we're going to be asking you to type your questions into the question box while our presenters are presenting. Then after both Andreas and Anna are finished presenting, we're going to have a dual Q&A panel where both of them can answer some of your questions, or one of them, or however they choose and see fit from a knowledge perspective. So afterwards, as always, we'll be making the video and slides available for all registrants. So just to let you know, you get video and slides afterwards as well. And also, Andreas will be giving out some great landing pages for you to run tests on your e-com site via the Longtail UX system. So that's enough housekeeping on my end. I'm going to hand things off to you, Andreas. So let's get started.
Well, thanks, Lauren. Pleasure to be here, and thanks everyone for joining. So yeah, I'm going to talk about dominating your e-commerce category in 2020. Whoops. So let's go to the next slide. And also going to talk about meeting e-commerce customer expectations for search in 2020. So first of all, 2020 obviously is a very special year. Well, actually, forgive us for the little bit marketing speech here. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity from an e-commerce perspective. Obviously, it's a once in a lifetime challenge for everyone. But the reality is there's a massive shift to online shopping due to COVID-19, and it's pretty much you can see this accelerating 5x this year, or basically we're skipping 5 years in development of e-commerce. We're seeing almost 80% year-on-year growth of e-commerce sales already, and no one is actually expecting that to go back, even after hopefully we'll be through the whole COVID-19 situation soon. So just about me very quickly, I work at Google. Also worked a while in the agency land, client side as well actually. So at Google, that gives away my age. I was part of the team that launched the first version of AdWords Editor, mobile ads and quality score as well, which was a very interesting time. And then I managed teams and budgets, large budgets internationally, both agency and client side, and quite a few website e-commerce website projects as well across different languages. From my accent, you might hear I'm German. So let's dive in. Just very quickly first, just want to quickly talk about what is Longtail UX actually. So we see this as the fastest way to expand your online market share. It's a technology that plugs into your website and gives you a massive advantage across a number of different channels. Search, obviously, one of the main ones. You may, out of these brands here, maybe remember Adevinta from recent news. That's the one in the middle. So Segunda Mano is part of the Adevinta group. They just bought eBay Classifieds for $9.2 billion, I think. And so we deliver massive uplift. That technology our technology delivers massive uplift for them in user growth across their website. How do we do this? There's one main element. We call them smart pages. Longtail UX smart pages is pretty much the opposite of what a replatforming is. So it's a technology you plug into your website, gives you new capabilities on your website, You can have you can build micro collections for e-commerce. You can add maps. You can pretty much add anything to the page that even if your current system doesn't allow you that. And it's pretty fast, and then it gives you massive opportunities and massive advantages in organic for shopping as well as for the traditional paid search. Right, we've also developed this, which is the scorecard, which actually gives you the opportunity to see the long tail opportunity in general, and then obviously also with our tool specifically for paid and organic. There's a new version now. You also see shopping broken down as well. This is obviously it analyzes your current performance. What it also does actually, this does the same for organic search. This is really interesting. Everyone always complains there's no visibility because you have for organic search 98% is not keyword not provided. We use statistical methods to actually analyze what is your brand versus non-brand traffic, and also ROI, not ROI, traffic and revenue across organic search. And then of course when you know your investment, which wouldn't be in your Google Analytics, then you can calculate your ROI, which is really interesting. And the last part there, it also gives you some really good insights. What are new opportunities for new pages to either manually build or actually then what our system could do for you. If you want to do this while I present and then ask questions about this later, this is basically how it works. You just go to scorecard.longtail.com and then you connect your Google account with your Google Analytics. And then it takes a few minutes and basically calculates those values, and you get a result. Right, but let's dive in. So the new e-commerce customer, as I said, well, 2020 is a very special year, very unfortunate in so many ways, but also obviously from an e-commerce perspective, like very interesting. So first, I want to probably hand this over to Lauren for a poll. So the question here is like, how many? Yeah, sorry, you go.
No problem. So I'm launching the poll right now. How much have your online sales grown year on year or year over year? If everyone could take a moment just to vote on this side, please. First option is negative growth or about the same. So you haven't grown at all or you've declined. Second option is a 20 to 50% increase in online sales year over year. Third is a 50 to 100% increase. Fourth is 100% plus increase. And then lastly is, I don't know. So this will be really interesting to see, Andreas, because I know quite a bit of the e-coms that I work with saw significant growth in April, May, especially those that communicated that their supply chain was working. And some of them have stuck afterwards as well. So we have 50% of you have voted thus far. We always really like to hit about 60 to 65%. So if the majority of you that do work on e-com sites or work for e-com sites can go ahead and get your vote in. Give you a couple more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now closing the poll and sharing the results. So the majority, 40%, say that they've seen a 20 to 50% increase year over year, year on year. 23% do not know. 19% have actually seen negative growth or about the same. 11% 50 to 100% increase, and then 7% are seeing 100% plus increase year on year. So there you go, and back to you.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, thanks everyone for sharing your insights there. This is very interesting, especially also when you look in contrast to the 80% I just shown before, and I guess there's a big difference by category. That's what we at least see across our clients. There's obviously some categories that grow a lot, and then there's others that, well, you have challenges. What probably doesn't change, or what's probably the same for everyone, is there are just a lot of new people to, well, your niche. It's not a niche anymore. So according to this poll from SurveyMonkey, 74% of respondents said, I'm buying items I usually would not buy online. There again is the question, will that actually stick? But we can be sure like some of it will stick because, well, people are creatures of habit. Once you get into a new habit, you'll definitely see some of that. Another interesting statistic, of course, is this is the percentage of new US online shoppers that are aged 45 or over, like me, not in the US, but yeah. So this is really interesting, and you would sort of assume that they're less tech savvy, or they would have different expectations. What you also see is here is again the same survey is 43% say I have difficulties finding the exact item I need. Right, that's their number one complaint about online shopping. Because when you think about it, if you're not used to, well, if you previously more bought in the real world, in bricks and mortar stores, well, they're shop attendants, right? You can ask them, and the online experience is very different because it's basically yourself. You have to find your way around. Right, and then 80% also said, and they're more likely to return to an online shop that personalizes the experience. Which of course, like just the same as in the shop, right? You go there, if they actually serve you well and you get a personalized experience, like more personal experience, you're more likely to return. I mean, right. So with that, let's talk about the power of first touch personalization. And now I have to introduce this man here. But obviously, the better you know the customer, you better serve them. The better the results are. He's been pretty successful, so let's just believe him. But here are a few facts. So 40% of shoppers have purchased something more expensive than originally planned due to a personalized shopping experience. Again, you know this from the real world experience. You go into a shop, and if you get more, like maybe you have an idea in your head, and then you get really good, well, like a really good shop attendant there giving you more insights or giving you a different choice, and then maybe you actually buy something, well, something more expensive, but also actually better suited to what you need. But 71% of shoppers express frustration towards shopping experience that feels impersonal. So that's also. So let's talk about first touch personalization. So what does first touch personalization mean in the real world, but also online? Well, first of all, of course, you need a store with products in stock that solve your problem, right? Otherwise, it can be as personalized as possible, but you actually need, well, you want to buy something, right? And then you need knowledgeable staff who can direct us to the section of the store with those products, right? You can actually find them. This is in the real world. And then the pleasant buying experience, of course, as well. You don't want this to be complicated, and yeah. Right. Let's go to e-commerce and what that actually means. So here you're looking for something, that's what I'm always searching for, right? Moisturizing shampoo for gray hair. Imagine you search that, all right? And then you click on one of those shopping ads. And well, in any single case of those, you go to a single product landing page, which shows you one product. And then you have to go back and you have to click on the next ad, which shows you another product. And Google knows this. That's why they open all those landing pages. They open a new tab. That's probably the only advertising in the world, the only format that opens your results in a new tab, because they know you have to go back. And that's not a great shopping experience. Like from Google's perspective, they say, well, who cares? Like we show you all the relevant products. But from, well, you're the person or the business that pays the money for the click. It's not a great experience because they go to your store and they just see this one product there. It's like imagine you go to a physical store and you ask for this, and there's like a massive business. They have so many products, and the shop attendant basically tells you, hey, here, this is one. And you say, nice, where are the other ones, right? But then that person disappears. So you have to go back to the entrance and ask the same question again. So yeah, with single product landing pages, actually, you see a reduction in performance and a reduction in conversion rates and return on advertising spend. So this is basically what we came up with the solution of smart pages. It's literally, this is a survey like from Monetate a couple of years ago, but it's still true, and you can test that. If you lead customers to this one product as the first experience in your e-commerce store versus to more products that are relevant to what they were looking for, that's a massive difference in conversion rate and in return on advertising spend. Right, so what's the law of smart pages? Well, you want to have multiple products on the page, right? Multiple products that match. Exactly, all match the buyer's immediate buying intent. and they also have to be visible above the fold. Because we all know, even if you go to a single product page, if you scroll further down, there's more products. They're not always the same, but they're similar, or people also, or they're somehow related. But you don't see them above the fold. You actually have to scroll down most of the time, which makes perfect sense within your website. If someone browses within your website, because you don't want to have like confusion and too many options in their face. But as a first experience within your store, that isn't that great. So let's look at the performance, right? And here again, you have a very specific need: moisturizing shampoo for gray hair. You have the single product page, and then on the right side, you actually have a page that has the exact matching products for this specific search. And this is important. This is not within their normal website structure. This is actually a different system. This is our system that enables you to actually show the results based on the keyword search, and then also similar results. You will say, hey, that doesn't work for shopping. You're right. So we're speaking here either organic search, or we're speaking text ads. But no matter what, in this case here, you see we have like more than 2,500 pages there, and we see doubling the conversion rate, and the cost of new customer acquisition goes down massively. So that's huge. If that happens to your paid budget, you'd be quite happy. Well, they're actually quite happy, and they're IPOing at the moment. So then again, another example: 60-inch 4K TV. On the left-hand side, this was from a shopping ad. Well, it's actually 65, so it's close-ish, but it's not the same. Again, just one product. On the right-hand side, you actually have all the exact or very closely matching products again. And again, it's actually outside of their normal filter structure, what you can see. This is very flexible. And in here, this is SEO actually for organic search. 35,000 pages. It's a massive shop. They have 350,000 products and growing. They're really big over here in the region. They're one of the market leaders actually in e-commerce, and we deliver for them like 105% annual growth with this strategy, with those pages. Not 105% growth across the business. They're a bit bigger than that, but 20 million new revenue, which you can actually directly attribute to those pages from organic search. So 105% growth, like in this long tail category. This is massive again, and this is measurable, so they're super happy. So again, what's the law of smart pages? You want to have multiple products on the page, all match the buyer's immediate need, and they have to be visible above the fold. All right, why do they have to be visible above the fold? Well, here's some more statistics on that, and some more proof is, well, people are just more likely to scroll if they actually see what else is there. And you see an increase in number of pages visited, and not an increase in number of pages visited because they're confused, because they actually see exactly what they want. Right, so how does first touch personalization for shopping ads work? This is one example. Here you see this Hyundai 300-watt power station, and on the left-hand side you see the existing product page they have on their website. Again, on their website, there are many studies that tell you actually don't want to give users too much choice, right? You want to have one call to action above the fold. You want to have lots of supporting information, but the more choice you give within your website, if it's too close, you actually can decrease conversion rates. So there's a reason why product pages look like that. But again, as the first entry point to your e-commerce store from an ad, that's actually not a great experience. If you look on the right side, with our technology, you have the ability to build, or we build it for you, another template for product pages, which lives alongside your existing ones. And then for shopping, you can basically just add a supplemental feed into your merchant center. And so your shopping ads actually run on that. And then the beauty of that is you can actually measure the impact, right? In this case, lithium power station, the difference is we have for Outbacks, we have a massive, this is huge increase in return on advertising spend. This is 5x, massive increase in conversion rate, and even the average order value increases because you have more choice. And sometimes users come into like the ad, actually they click on the cheaper one, or on the cheaper and lower specs. But when you then show all the other ones and they browse a bit around, they might actually then buy the more expensive one because they realize that actually suits more their needs. Right. So there's a huge opportunity because 78% of the top 100 e-commerce spenders, this is a study we did, actually fail on that smart page law. Like when you click on their shopping ads, you actually don't see always similar products above the fold. All right, so just a few examples. Here you're looking for vegan protein, and there's lots of stuff missing, right? Different flavors, gluten-free, lifestyle, organic. There's all these different, and that's basically all you see, right? If you go through the site, you find all the other ones, but you know how people are and how we are. You expect like instant results, instant gratification. And if you don't see this, you just go back and click on other ads. Well, here, Neiman Marcus, same, right? So what's missing? Good American jeans. Well, there's different designs, material, and so they have so many more products, of course, right? So why wouldn't they show them above the fold? And then again here, this is corner desk. Well, there's so many different options. And the interesting bit is you can actually be quite aggressive. And there's a few examples we've seen of very successful e-commerce players. You can even have the similar results or the similar products above the main one, right? And you can test this, right? I mean, obviously Google has very specific guidelines there, but when you actually look like some of the top retailers, like some of them do it really, really well. And when you have the ability to create a new template, you can play around with that. Right. So we get to the next poll related to this topic.
Great, let's do it. So launching the poll for everyone. The question is, do you show multiple products matching the search term above the fold? So on your e-com sites, do you show multiple products matching the search term? Yes, no, or I don't know. So pretty easy answers here. If everyone could just take the time to vote really quickly. We have 50% of you have voted. This is really cool to see. We're getting lots of really good questions coming in, Andreas. So I'm looking forward to our Q&A segment later today. And right now we're at 58%. So let me do a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Final chance. Closing the poll now.
Very curious.
And the results are 51% do not show multiple products matching the search term above the fold. So 51% are a no. 37% do, and then 12% don't know. So the majority either does not show multiple relevant products that match the search term above the fold or don't know. So they could be missing out on quite a bit of performance there, would you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks. That's very insightful, and pretty much supports what we've been saying. And this is the thing, like from a user perspective and from Google's perspective, that's fine, right? People go back and forth and click on different ads, but there's a huge opportunity to test that. And the one thing you really need though is the flexibility, right? You don't want to. There's two different purposes. You have your product pages within your website, and then you have them actually as landing pages as the first touch, the first thing users see, right? So selling first touch personalization internally. So how do you actually sell this? Because when you work in paid search or organic search is the same thing, right? How do you actually convince, well, here's tech you need to implement. So this is not just a tag you put on your website and everything works. They actually have to make a conscious decision, and there's a bit of tech work required. But I mean, what's the selling point? Our average ROI of those pages is 7, right? Like a return 7 to 1. And that can be much higher depending on the category. But when you look at at non-brand keyword performance, that is pretty high. And then of course the conversion rate increase. So whatever your current ROI is, return on advertising spend, if you double your conversion rate, and it's all measurable, that's pretty compelling. The other one, of course, especially when you're bricks and clicks. We actually got recent investment from one of the large retailer groups over here, actually the largest one. from their VC arm, because, well, they just see the shift to online and they know they need to compete. So yeah, there's a much faster shift. And when you compare how bricks and clicks do in comparison to pure play e-commerce, and when you look at the share market and everything, well, there's a bricks and clicks have to catch up, right? Well, so here's a few numbers. You just see the the top 40 versus top 22, like how they did over the last year. The other selling point is, of course, speed, right? Because you want to do this quick. So the average time to re-platform. So if you go out there and say, hey, my e-commerce platform, I want to do so many more things, like both on organic search, right? We know what are the limitations, all the things you can't do. Every time you're doing this amazing analysis, all the things you need to change, and then you actually have to go and to the tech team. And if you're lucky, you can create tickets, and they go into a queue. But if you're not so lucky, well, you have massive discussions, and maybe it never happens. And all the investments you did in your analysis to actually move it live is really hard. And the next thing, actually, when you move it live, they ask you for a business case. So what's the impact? All right, and it's really hard for organic search. Of course, normally you can't measure your ROI directly. So yeah, average time to re-platform is 1.5 years. Was also interesting, I guess, any single re-platforming has never started with that number, right? It's always 3 months and then we're there, but it actually never is. So on the other side, to implement something like our system, it takes 2 weeks, right? So there's a bit of tech time, but 2 weeks compared to, hey, we can do everything in a channel and just spend more money on paid search. Of course, it's much easier to just change a few ads. But when you compare the tech time to what it actually means to re-platform, this is nothing. Yeah, and to speed, we can literally go live in 10 days. There's a few things you have to do on your system side, but it's actually very limited, not a lot. We have patents. We're very, very proud. We have a patent granted in the US as well. So this is about the organic search. You can look this up. There's another one which is still pending, which is about the paid search part. If you want to have a demo, of course, please contact us. We're happy to do that, happy to chat. And I'm really looking forward to all the questions. And of course, if we want to have a forecast, you can go to scorecard.longtailux.com. And with that, I actually realized I spoke a bit faster, 2 minutes early. Thank you very much. And I'm really looking forward to the questions after Anna's presentation, which I'm really looking forward to.
Awesome. So as promised, here is the second part of our double feature. Anna Crowe, Assistant Editor of Search Engine Journal, will be presenting on how online stores can drive organic traffic with on-page SEO. Anna, you have all the controls and everything. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I am. 1 second. There we go. Awesome.
Okay.
Present. There we go. Awesome. Great.
Let's get going.
I'll get started. Cool. Thanks, Lauren. And thanks, AD. That was awesome. I learned so much from you on that. I'll be stalking you for a demo shortly. Great. So my presentation today, we're going to walk through how online stores can drive organic traffic with on-page SEO, specific to 2020, which has been a crazy year. So just before we get started, a little bit about me. I'm the assistant editor at SEJ, and I'm the head of content for Leadfeeder. I've also been running my own company for the last 10 years, specializing in SEO and content, and I've got to work for some really amazing brands throughout the year, from Hearst Magazine to Castello Cheese, Village Candle, Mailboat Records. I got to be the voice of Jimmy Buffett on social media for a little while, which was pretty cool. And I've been working with the guys at BigCommerce and Shopify, ghostwriting and helping out with their blog content. A few fun facts about me. I can milk a goat. Yes, I know that's weird, but I grew up on a dairy farm in Georgia. We make goat cheese. Well, we used to make goat cheese. Now we make regular cheese. So if you're interested, check out sweetgrassdairy.com. Personal plug. Sorry about that. I've also toured with the band Kansas. So if you're familiar with old school, you know, Dust in the Wind, You're My Boy Blue, those guys, really awesome experience. And I like burritos and puppies in that order. Just kidding. I have 3 dogs, so clearly I love puppies before burritos. All right, so let's dive into this. So 8 months ago, this was probably you. You're really pumped, you're excited, it's a new year, 2020, you've got all these new initiatives and goals. But then 2020 happened, and this is probably you today. You're running so fast, you're just trying to keep up with demand or trying to generate demand, but you can't keep up. So there's no denying that the speed of transformation in e-commerce is savage in 2020. The internet has never been more important in our day-to-day lives, but this really gives businesses an opportunity to accelerate growth in organic traffic. And that means competition's also getting bigger. So competitors that really weren't there in your space anymore probably exist now, or you're competing against other search engines like Amazon. So it's never been more important that you're working on SEO and that your content is relevant. Without SEO and without content, shoppers won't find you. Next slide. There we go. So how do you prioritize for SEO in 2020? 2020 has been a bit of a whirlwind of a year, so it comes as a challenge to try to concentrate on the right KPIs and prioritize your roadmap. And you really have to work closely with all your digital teams, from PPC to content to social. So how do you prioritize that to get the best possible performance to drive revenue in your bottom line? So today I'm going to walk you through that. So here's a little bit of a peek at my roadmap of what I would do for 2020. And then this is listed in priority order. So if you are a small business owner and you can't work on anything else but promotions or reviews, I'd suggest going in this order. I know that it's a little cliche, but when life hands you lemons, you have to make lemonade, and that is so true this year. So try to work with what you have and go through this priority list to find new creative ways to engage with your customers. So I'll walk you through that. We'll start with promotions. So I'm just curious, before I dive into what we just talked about, I'm curious if you guys can answer in the chat box below if you've changed your SEO strategy in 2020 at all. Check it out. Anyone? I'll give you guys a couple minutes to respond. There should be a little chat button that's on GoToWebinar in the lower left-hand corner where you can type your message. Give you a couple minutes or seconds.
Yeah, either chat or question works, and we have a lot of yeses and yeps and yeppers coming in the question box right now.
Oh, good. I can't see that. Okay, great. Thank you. Awesome.
No problem.
So that's great to know. All right, so I will get after it then. Okay, cool. So promotions. This is where you can really start to draw in new customers that are price sensitive. You know, as things are changing, you know, budgets are getting tighter or consumer habits are changing. So you really need to dig into your Google Analytics data, the Shopify data, any sort of tracking metrics that you have to figure out your customer funnel flow. Where are they dropping off? Where are their pain points? Are your products priced too high for them? Maybe they're not priced high enough. So you really need to identify what your customers are doing on your site in order to deliver a promotion that meets their needs in the current moment. You also want to use targeted promotional related keyword terms like, you know, promo code, discount, sale, different things like that to attract different types of search. And I'll give you a couple examples here. First up, the guys over at Supply, they're grooming gear for men. They started to see a drop in sales around February of this year, and they assumed that it was related to their price point. You know, they are a luxury product, so they weren't necessarily targeting the budget shoppers. So what they did was they launched this deal where you get a free year of blades for a limited time, as long as you buy an actual razor. Within 10 days of launching the campaign, they ended up having one of the best weekends of sales since Black Friday, which is insane. So, you know, tailor your promotions around the search behavior. Promo codes and discounts. This is another really good example. BarkBox, they deliver treats, toys, anything you want for your furry friend. But what they did in the beginning was they started to partner with influencers and bloggers to distribute these promo codes and discounts. So they would get custom codes for them that then was attached to a landing page on your website. So it could be used as a conversion magnet, but it could also be used as a way to keep people on your site and to go through different products that you might have that might be engaging to them. And it worked for BarkBox. They actually saw an increase in organic revenue by 35%, which is awesome. So definitely take a stab at the promotions. Oops, too fast. Awesome. All right, so now we'll go into reviews. So we know that consumer behavior is changing and they want people to be transparent. We have to protect our brand reputation, not only to search engines, but also to the customers too. One way to do that is to activate reviews. And you can do that through an automated post-promotion email campaign, which I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then also tie those reviews to schema data that you can add to your source code. So here's an example from Casper. So a few days after you become a customer, you bought the product, it was delivered, the company will send you an email like this. They want you to review the product. This one is for their specific sheets. So what I like about this is once you click on the CTA button, you then land on a specific page where you can fill out this form. What I like about this, if you look at the area that I highlighted in the form, they actually kind of start to lead with questions. How do you like sleeping on the Casper sheets? How do they compare to your previous set of sheets? Would you recommend these sheets to a friend? So these types of questions are really trying to pull the answers out of your consumers to give you a more meaningful, more rich product review. And the result is it looks something like this. So you've got the 5-star review, you've got your title, great sheets, and then you can see in the actual description that it's got really good pockets of information. So high quality sheets, better than expected, more satisfied, things like that can really help drive home purchases. And then you can see how the schema data connects all of this together. So if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see there's the actual meta title, meta description, and then underneath that, you've got the 5 stars, or well, 4.3 stars, and the rating, and then the 1,000 reviews. So this is what your schema data will look like. Schema data is not a ranking factor, but it can set you apart in the SERPs. So if you look to the right, you can see our search results for the cotton sheets. And you can see how much that Casper stands out, not only obviously because it's at the top, but because it stands out when you look at it compared to Amazon or Macy's. They don't have the schema data with the product review. So the goal with this is to get more clicks and to keep people on your site. One cool thing about this, if you are using Shopify, this is a default setting in your themes. If you're using BigCommerce, this is not a default setting, so you might have to add an add-on like that. And if you're unsure, just use Google Structured Data Tool that I linked to at the bottom here. And then they tie this all together. So then they take that review and then they will put it into another email, post-purchase email, and it comes full circle. Another way to help promote trust is through HTTPS and SSL certificates. I'm sure you guys are probably tired of hearing about this by now because everyone knows how important these are to SEO and your rankings, and with all the changes that Google's been making to the HTTPS, how vital this really is to succeed. I actually was reading a report the other day. Baynard did a study. I think they said, what was it? 18% of people actually end up abandoning purchasing from an e-commerce site because they didn't trust the site. So you really want to make sure that these are enabled so that you can keep people on your site and that you're signaling trust. And I'll show you. So here's an example of what that looks like. So your SSL is that lock on the left-hand side, and then the HTTPS is just listed at the top right there. Help Center. So this is a big one that I find gets skipped a lot, which I find super interesting because it's probably one of the most important pieces to the puzzle of your website. From the searcher side, now in 2020, people are taking a little bit longer before they actually make the purchase decision. So you want to be able to give them as much content as they need to make that final purchase decision. And you want to share key messages about changes to your company, whether it's you're having shipping delays because of increased demand or things like that. And I'll show you an example here. So here's an example from Chubby's. They're a men's clothing line. They make like fun swim trunks and shorts. But here's a screenshot of their FAQ page, and you can see right at the top, They have FAQs for COVID-related shipping delays. That's super important. They put that right at the top, and they help answer all their consumer questions before they even have to start dealing with an influx of live chat. Content is another super important way to engage your consumers as their habits are changing. So you want to adapt your blog content or content across your website to adapt to those changes that people are having. And I'll show you what I mean here. So on it, they're a vitamin supplement company. On the left-hand side, this is a picture of their blogs. You can see that they're doing 4 killer arm workouts you can do at home. So instead of, 4 killer arm workouts you can do at the gym, or I don't know, where else would you work at your CrossFit? They have targeted this to be really towards people's new lifestyle and what people are adapting to in 2020. Same thing with Homesick. They are a natural soy candle company. And one of their recent blog posts was how to decorate your home office. More and more people are working from home, more and more people are working remotely. So you really want to tailor your content to the now and not what you might have had in your queue earlier. Another cool piece that you can work on is releasing exclusive products. This was something that I thought was really cool that Lululemon did. So every year they run a half marathon and they get participants from all over the world to come and do this half marathon with them. It's normally in person, it's physical, and they give out custom swag. And they also release specific products just for that half marathon. So the people that only participate or join that half marathon get those exclusive products. This year, they've decided to make it a virtual event. So again, it's worldwide, anyone can participate, but now their exclusive products are actually released on the site for a limited time only. It's a really interesting way to increase urgency to your products and to get different types of customers onto your site. They also released a really cool app for virtual personal shoppers so that you can interact through video chat with your consumers. Lululemon has really done a really great job at understanding their consumer and what their consumer needs and offered them virtual ways to engage with them. Site search. This is another big issue that I feel like a lot of SEOs and websites miss out on. So your site search is like a gold mine of insight for consumer data. And it's possible with COVID and all the changes in 2019 that your typical customer's day-to-day life is changed. So they may be searching on your website for different products to match with their habits. So if you don't have a site search already activated, get one. And then once you get one, you want to review the data in Google Analytics to see what new keyword terms people are actually searching for on your website. I'll give you an example. So here's a great example from Under Armour. So you can see they have the Autosuggest in site search so that it automatically fills what they think you might be searching for, whether it's shorts or shoes. And then they have a drop down with suggested alternative recommendations. And then they also give you top products based on that search. So it really forces users to interact with that, maybe click on an image. It's more engaging. And you don't want to forget other search engines. My philosophy is if you can't beat them, join them. We all know how incredible Amazon's been doing this year, but so is YouTube. Streaming has gone up, Amazon purchases has gone up. So if you're not on Amazon, but you're losing customers to Amazon, it might be a good decision to opt for an Amazon product listing. And if you're not already creating product videos and posting them to YouTube, make sure to put them on YouTube. It was a couple years ago, not a couple years ago, I think it's been a while now, but that Google bought YouTube. So keep that in the back of your mind. So whatever you optimize on your website, you could also optimize on YouTube and have a chance at ranking a little bit higher. Here's an example from the guys over at Ample. I was actually reading an interview from Connor Young, one of the founders and CEOs of Ample. They've worked really, really hard to shift their budgets from, doing PPC, shopping ads, Facebook ads, things like that, because they noticed they were losing their customers to Amazon. So what they did was they shifted their budget and their focus and really started to dedicate more ad budget to Amazon. And they actually completed their entire profile. They optimized all their listings, and now they actually saw 4 times more profit after doing that and switching to Amazon rather than just focusing solely on their own website. Thanks. And last is the out-of-stock alternatives. So we're all struggling with supply chain challenges, and there's going to be instances where you're going to be out of a product permanently or out of a product temporarily. The key is, especially for SEO, is you don't want to completely remove these pages because you'll lose a lot of value. If you're just out of stock temporarily, try to add different features on your product page. Ask for people to include their email so you can tell them whenever the product's coming available again. But if it's out of stock permanently, just make sure to implement the 301 redirect to make sure that you're creating this seamless consumer experience. Here's an example from Boat. So this product is out of stock, but it's a product that they'll have forever. It's a paddle for one of their kayaks, and you can see at the bottom they have an option for you to include your email and to email you whenever the item's ready for purchase again. What I also really like is that they changed the CTA button, so they can't buy now or shop now or purchase to available soon, and then they grayed it out so that it looked like it wasn't clickable. This really helps create and answers a lot of consumer questions and saves your customer support team some time and having to answer all these emails. So I guess what I'm trying to say with all of this here is that in order to succeed in 2020, you really need to remember to pivot your on-site experience to match consumer demand. You really want to make sure you're fully in tune with the needs and wants of your consumer today, wherever that may be or where that is. And that is it for me. So I will take it to Q&A questions. There we go.
Awesome. First of all, talking about aging ourselves, that Friends GIF definitely ages multiple, also in many ways, right? So good to see that. Friends is relevant to the young and the old, so always good there. Thank you so much, Anna, for going over the ways to really boost your e-com site organically. Got a lot of really good questions coming in on that side too. You sure did cover a lot in that period of time. And I'm gonna get things started from a Q&A standpoint. So let's begin. First, I had a lot of questions come in about the concept of featuring multiple items above the fold on e-com landing pages. First question is, does it make sense to do this across the board? So is this something that should also be done in an organic experience in addition to a paid landing page or smart page experience?
It may be the case, but I would test this very carefully. So your current product page usually looks like this for a really good reason. There's been you have a UX team most of the time, right? And there's lots of testing going into how it currently looks. And so that's actually why we think it's important to have the ability to decouple the experience, whether you're browsing within your site or coming from like a paid channel. So it may be, but it's a different audience. It's just a very different audience. It's people browsing within your site. They know what they're looking for. They probably saw like a category page before. They already saw a lot like different products, and then they made a choice to click on that one product. And it's different, right? Because in that moment, like they will maybe want to buy it. If you then give them more choices like this, I think you have this jam experiment, right? It's like a really old one, like this jam, people selling jam somewhere. Like if you give them people 4 choices or 30, you actually decrease conversion rate because you give them too much choice. So yeah, I would test this very carefully. A/B testing really is the best answer here, but separately.
Sounds good. Thank you. And then the next question, which is kind of interesting, is this is coming from an e-com site that gets 90% mobile traffic. Can they also replicate that experience with multiple products above the fold on the mobile? Any suggestions there how that works from a mobile experience?
Look, like even if you're not 90% is super high, but I guess 50% is a reality for everyone right now, or at least before people were stuck at home and looking at screens there. But It's different. It's very different. But so on the actual first screen, on the screen, multiple products you probably don't want to try because it's too much. It actually is enough if you see like an indicator that there are more similar products, and then people swipe. It's pretty easy to swipe, and at least you don't want to make it like 5 swipes down, right? So you can still bring them up. On the screen directly, it's probably hard because well, like our examples, actually on the first screen, the one thing you see is just like you see like similar products and like a number, but that's all you see, and then people scroll.
Got you. Yeah, I've also noticed more pages integrating the horizontal scroll as well through that experience too.
Right.
I think the mindset is once you scroll up and down and then left and right, you're probably going to stay on there because you've exerted enough thumb energy to show interest in actually buying something. So that's cool. Next question, really for both of you, is kind of an advice-oriented question. As an SEO or a marketer jumping into e-commerce for the first time, any specific call-outs or advice that would be helpful on that front?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I come from a SEO background, and I definitely would say like stick with your foundation. So do all the basic technical on-page SEO things that you can get done within the first month or to 3 months, and you should see really good performance from that. I'm a firm believer in the foundation still works and the basics still work. So make sure that you get that holistically done before you move on to any promotions or things like that.
Anything on your side, Andreas? Yeah, I mean, the other thing you have to be aware, obviously, I completely agree. You want to do use all the tools that are out there for analysis, compare with competitors, what they do, and metrics. But then also SEO, really, you're working in change management, right? So most of the things you then discover, you actually won't be able to do yourself. So really try to network within the company as well. You have to be the best friends with product, the best friends with tech, the best friends with the UX team. That will be my other one. Just you have to talk.
That's a really good point. I am a bit envious of some of the PPC folks that work within Unbounce and ClickFunnels and specific landing page worlds where in order to make a change to the page, you just drag and drop, or maybe you work with a small team to be able to do that, as opposed to the giant system of making dramatic on-page content or link changes. So that's a very good point on that side. Network internally, build relationships, build trust. Also, some of the tips I have would be to get used, as SEOs, we're used to looking at Google Analytics from users and sessions. I would highly recommend that you look at those same pages, but with your data changed to revenue and average e-commerce conversion rate, right? Because it really gets you thinking in a whole different way. How are these pages performing from a revenue perspective? How are these pages that I'm working on performing from an e-com conversion rate perspective? And really digging into those components outside of only traffic and ranking. It just kind of gets you thinking of things in the same way that the people that you're reporting up to think, from a revenue driving and sales goal oriented fashion. So like get used to changing your settings on analytics to default, or at least your second choice being revenue, or either revenue, transactions, or e-commerce conversion rate. All right. Next question. AD, you had a lot of examples of like a graying shampoo and consumer product brands. Would the same setup that's being used with the Longtail UX Smart Pages apply also to designer brands or maybe jewelry sites where the products costs are ranging from the 2,000 to 5-figure mark? Example, does the same kind of comparison component apply as the pricing model increases from your experience?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I would love to answer this question in 2 weeks. We're currently in talks with one of the most known brands out there for that price range. And the answer is yes. But of course, you have to be mindful of there's different variables that go into what you want to show, right? If you have, especially if you have price ranges from, let's say, a few hundreds to like 10,000s, you really want to make sure that you show not just like keyword related, but you actually like respect a few other dimensions. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Like the people come to your website. Well, surely because they think about your brand. So for those companies, a brand is incredibly important. But still, like once they're there, they actually want to have like a good experience. And it's the same if you go into, well, if you go like into the Tiffany store in New York, right? Well,
Right.
you don't just want to see that one. You actually want to have like an experience people show you. But of course, it has to be quality. And you don't want to say, oh, I really like this bracelet, whatever it costs 10,000, and then the shop attendant tells you like, hey, how about this one? And then it's like a tenth of the price, or like 10 times or whatever. Like it has to be related with more than just keywords. But yeah, those settings, we have them. And if you do this yourself, you just have to be mindful of that.
Okay, great information. And yes, if it's a landing page for a $20,000 watch, we do not want to be introducing the $2,500 version of that same watch or something like that. So all good points across the board. Really relying and focusing on that white glove lifestyle that people expect when they're shopping on the designer side as well. So having recommendations that make sense should work well. Anna, we got a lot of questions coming in about the reviews and schema components of your tips and tactics. First off, for reviews, how to tie the introduction of reviews on the product pages or schema markup to impact on traffic conversion. Any other metrics we should be looking at for the schema markup outside of CTR? So I think firsthand, how do you tie the ability to get reviews on the site? How would you start that process typically?
That's a great question. So typically, whenever I look to get reviews on the site, I do the post-purchase email campaign similar to what I showed you with Casper. So the goal is to really just set up some sort of email campaign that will trigger after someone's purchased a product. And typically what I'll do is I'll start with a smaller beta tester group of a product that I know maybe will get like 10 buys a month. So then I can slowly start to test out my campaigns and build that from there. And then I'll also like directly ask consumers for reviews. So if I can tell like maybe 10% of my most active biggest buyers, I'll send them reviews too and kind of segment it that way. So then I can work out any kinks. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. And then also, in addition to CTR, are there any other benefits
Oh, yes,
of
there's
having
a ton
that
of,
in the SERPs?
yeah, that's a great question. Yes, there's a ton of benefits. Like I said, it's not a ranking factor yet, but I would not put it past Google at some point to do that with all the changes that they're making. But yeah, so click-through rate's a big one, but also just having schema and being able for Google bot to crawl your actual website, and schema data helps signal to them the context of your actual product. So it'll help Google understand what your product is and what the sentiment is behind that based on the reviews. So Google's getting more advanced in that. I think we saw that with BERT last year whenever it rolled out. But they're starting to really understand the context of those reviews and help rank that product page better.
Likewise, those reviews also help to build trust even before somebody clicks from Google over to your site, right? So they see that you're the trusted site, that there's X amount of people that have written about you. Even there's some price information that can be brought in to those rich snippets as well, right? Which kind of pre-qualifies the user before they come to your site, that they know what to expect from a pricing perspective. So the ability to seed all of that information into the purchaser's mindset, even before they click over to your site, is pretty powerful at the end of the day. because they've already more or less made the decision that you're a trusted retailer, and they've made that decision that, hey, they're going to check it out because they know what the price is. So then it's just a question of you converting once they're over to the site. So we also had some questions about.
Sorry, can I just sorry to
yes.
interrupt, but just on the reviews, because I'm very passionate about that. I'm so happy Anna brought it up, and it's one of the top things. So reviews are so important. If you collect reviews, it's also really important to get like more dimensions of like from the user. For example, if it's a review on like a shirt or something, you want to actually know like what's the size they bought. Maybe even get something like well, how tall are they or whatever. Like it's like that goes like very granular, or where they're from, like a location, because this helps so much actually. So we, from our perspective, whenever we work with a client, they have lots of reviews. We love that because suddenly, like for our keyword matching and long tail keywords, there's so much rich content in there your product descriptions wouldn't have. And so, yeah, so there's an impact on conversion rates, but also from an SEO point of view, there's just so much more content and things, attributes your product doesn't talk about, but then users actually talk about it. And then once you collect a bit more information, like location, where does the user come from, I don't know, even age or something like that. I mean, that depends on the campaign. The more questions you ask, the less likely they're to respond. So there's a balance. But it's so rich and it's so important for SEO. And then in terms of conversion rates, people recognize themselves. Oh, here's another whatever 47-year-old guy bought XL or whatever, and it's really powerful.
So you can sync up those reviews based upon personalization as well, like on landing pages. Can you optimize which reviews are being shown to the person at the end of the day?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I think one thing that's forgotten in the world of reviews too is like everything that you're talking about, right? Because I know like with Yotpo, for example, since they're a Google ad partner, their reviews can be shown in PPC ads. Their reviews can be shown in Google Shopping. I believe their images can be shown in Google. The images from the reviews can be shown in Google Shopping as well. So once you have that bank of trusted user and consumer reviews, don't just stop at showing them as a default on your page. There's a lot more you can do on the PPC side of things with those reviews, with email marketing, with social, with really everything across the board. From what I'm getting from UAD, there's a vast amount of data that can be obtained from those user reviews at the end of the day that can be used to convert on the PPC landing page side as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Also, I would say if you are running a review solution, really push or incentivize your customers to leave more than just like, it was great, I loved it, best shirt ever, feedback. Ask for detailed feedback. I believe with some of the review platforms, you can set things like a minimum amount of words or characters. You can add some kind of rich experience things to help incentivize a person to write more as they're writing. So really look into that as well, because just like with WordPress comments, no one really wants to have a site full of things like, it's the great, it's the best at the end of the day. Really getting into those things like where, oh yeah, I have a 39-inch sleeve and this ended up fitting perfectly, can help someone else with that sleeve size make that purchase at the end of the day. So that's really good advice on that side, AB. Thank you. We had a lot of questions coming up about Google Shopping. As I'm sure both of you know, Google Merchant Center, which was previously a PPC-oriented tool, has now expanded into the world of organic as well. So first question is, how effective is Google Merchant Center / Google Shopping for your paid campaigns? And then second, have you seen and worked with any clients where the organic component of Google Shopping has caught on?
So shopping, yeah, like we work with clients that put 95% of their paid budgets goes into shopping. It's just when you have a huge inventory, it's just the easiest way to optimize, and the returns are good. But if you can improve them, of course, you want to do that, right? Like there's lots of budget going into shopping. Organic, to be perfectly honest, we haven't heard much results yet. So obviously we've seen the announcement, but haven't seen much there yet. So no, I can't answer that.
You seen anything on organic, Anna?
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't seen that yet, so I have to dig into that. Have
So
you, Lauren?
all of you, yeah, a little bit. So all of you organic SEOs out there, build a relationship with whoever's running Google Shopping ads to see if you can get access to Google Merchant Center. Because what's happening now is where some of the data used to come in the Search Console, now that Google Shopping has become a hybrid organic and PPC engine, that some of that organic traffic is being taken out of Search Console and reported within Google Merchant Center. From what I've seen thus far, it's not a lot. It's a very small amount, especially compared to what clients are seeing from their traditional PPC campaigns in Google Shopping / PLA campaigns. But it is very interesting at the end of the day, especially from a conversion perspective. I'm also not sure if you can UTM tag that traffic to identify it within Google Analytics, because it is mixed in on the analytics side, I believe, as well. So definitely check out Google Merchant Center for those opportunities on that end. We have a little bit of time left, and I also had some questions coming in about increasing average order value. So is it beneficial to increase average order value to show things like accessories that might help go with a specific product that the user has searched for? So AB, I'm thinking maybe not necessarily on that smart page, but while someone's in the cart, do you usually see benefit of upselling or including accessories or other items that user may have searched for previously or may match whatever they're buying?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Vistaprint, now Simpress. I think they're probably one of the kings of the upsell. 100%. Yeah, as you already said, Lauren, is when you come from search, you're looking for something really specific. You don't want to actually see too much. Hey, there's also like accessories. You first actually want to choose the product. This is really like once you're in the shopping cart. If you have the ability to there actually like, would you also like I don't know, would you like fries with this, or this is, yeah, absolute no-brainer. This is and it works so well. Like once you're already on the journey, and again there I can tell you from the Simpress Vistaprint days, man, we were testing the hell out of that. Like you want to test that. Because it's really important. Like one thing, you have a theory on it's the same with banner ads, right? You think, oh, this looks great and this looks really bad, and then you test it, and the one you think that looks bad suddenly performs crazy. And it's the same with what you do in your funnel. You actually want to test that. That is very important. But yeah, of course, same experience, right? If you're in a restaurant and if you order the burger or something, and then someone asks you want to have fries with that, well, at least it's a valid question. And very often I would say yes.
It is a valid question, and one thing I've learned from watching Bar Rescue on TV is that French fries have the lowest food cost of most items in the kitchen. So they're one of the most profitable things that you can sell and add on. The same with fountain sodas. So when someone asks you if you want a combo or a meal, basically you're paying about $3 more for what they paid 50 cents for, which is pretty wild if you can pull that off from a restaurant perspective and from an e-commerce perspective. Final question, I believe, is you had some information about adding FAQ to pages, Anna, and then also with FAQ schema markup. One of the attendees today is trying to build an internal business case to be able to add FAQ questions and schema markup to product pages and internal pages, but they're getting a little bit of negative feedback or hitting some brick walls. Are there any additional benefits or talking points to adding FAQ markup and questions on the product or category level from an e-com perspective?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm a huge fan of FAQs. I really think they've kicked off honestly, I'd say in the last 2 years, I've seen like a tremendous amount of growth after putting FAQs on product pages. One thing, as you know, we talked a little bit about BERT a little bit and how they're starting under context a little bit more. But FAQs are also like really helpful for voice search, especially now, you know, everyone's moving to mobile. We all know how amazing voice search is. So those FAQs, if you're, you know, if I'm asking a question of, is this supplement vegan friendly? You know, if someone's asking that into Siri and you're talking about your supplement, then hopefully those FAQs can help answer those questions. So it really helps from a voice perspective, a mobile perspective, and just SEO in general. FAQs are awesome. Please push that through to your client or your boss.
Yeah, I've found that even if the FAQ markup is not populating within the Google results, the ability to add that natural language and those natural language questions that someone would typically ask about a product and the answer, and you know, just to be honest, like a lot of e-commerce product pages are pretty boring. It's like product description, height, weight, width, etc., and then that's it, right? So the ability then to get in and be able to add all of that rich content to the site helps from so many different perspectives, even if Google takes away FAQ markup and the results one day, it's still beneficial at the end of the day. And then Anna, I haven't even thought about the voice search perspective. So I really like what we're going at there as well.
Yeah, I actually saw it work on, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with ritual.com, but they have FAQs on their page. And they actually start ranking in mobile really, really well for those. So it's interesting to see that and featured snippets, sorry. AD, I think you were gonna say something, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. Yeah, I completely agree. And so I would always think about the network effect as well. That's what we always try to get is when you have a general FAQ section within your site, and then when you're then able to pull the relevant FAQs for the products from that general section onto the products, like programmatically, that's super powerful. So you can have them specifically to products, but if you actually have a general section and then there's something about vegan, and then whenever the product is vegan, you show that part on those pages. Then you actually have like one investment, but you basically spread this across the site. That's super powerful. I really love your comment as well, as it makes it more human, right? Human language, and about the boring product pages. Fully agree. And the same as the reviews, right? They just humanize it. The other thing, we have actually done a very interesting test. Often you have FAQs like in an accordion. You see the question, but you actually have to click to open it. And even if what you open is Google readable before, we've actually done the test that when it's open, there isn't like Google tells you there's no difference, you shouldn't worry about it. Or we actually have seen an impact in SEO. So it would be really interesting if you do this on your site. You can do the test yourself, basically. You open them in one category and you'd have them closed in another product category, maybe, if you do that. And then have a look over the next month or two, like how those category, how the traffic behaves on SEO and the rankings. We have seen a positive impact in having them open. Crazy, but yeah, we've tested this at large scale, like with a really large website. And it's even better for the user as well. So we did both. We looked at the SEO impact and we looked at conversion rates. And it was double benefit.
That's an interesting study. That's cool. I'm gonna have to test that.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
The same with list view versus grid view. So our landing pages, they always have a list view that actually has like a snippet of the description that matches the page topic, and having, even if the list view is like everything is visible, it's all in HTML, so only CS actually decides on what you see, and Google can read everything. Having the list view first, again, we saw the same benefit. There, sometimes you have like less conversion rates, so you have to basically balance that. But do those tests; they're interesting. Don't trust everything you read on blogs. What actually, it doesn't make a difference. Whatever, test it if you can.
Yeah, everything works differently based upon the site, the industry, etc. Yeah. Right? So you never know. Guys, thank you so much. This has been one of the longer webinars that we've had. with it being a double feature, but one of the most enjoyable. We had a lot of questions come in. For the questions that we could not get to, we're going to be sending them over to AD and Anna afterwards, and then hopefully we can get some responses and some answers for you on that side. Not in FAQ snippet format though, probably just written out within the mail, within the email. So yeah, that's it for today's SEJ eSummit webinar on dominating e-commerce in 2020. Andreas, anything you'd like to leave things with? Any calls to action or anything folks should do that have been listening to all these great tips from a next step perspective?
Well, first of all, I really loved Anna's presentation. The reviews, I do them, get them. I learned new things there. When you ask for reviews, give them like this grayed out text where I actually give examples. So powerful, right? Awesome, do that. And then of course, if you want to know about your Longtail opportunity, go to scorecard.longtailux.com and have a look there. And yeah, any questions, contact us directly, or as you said, Lauren, we're going to answer those questions. So thank you.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Anna, anything before we sign off?
Yeah, just, AD, I really, same as you, I learned a lot from your presentation, and I'll be taking a demo from Longtail UX. But in terms of people that were watching, customer data, just understand your customer behavior, how they're interacting on your site, and then tailor your campaigns to that. Until you understand the new customer behavior, you're not going to be able to produce good quality content or good performance SEO if you don't understand their behavior. So take the data first before you act.
Excellent, excellent. Some great tips there. So thanks again, everybody. Just as a reminder, we're going to be sending out this video along with the decks and additional information to all registrants and attendees after the webinar. Our next SEJ webinar will be held on Wednesday, September 9th. This will be with Jenny Hollis, ambassador from OnCrawl. It will be a webinar on internal linking, how to unlock your site's hidden potential from an internal linking standpoint. So we think a lot about external inbound links, but what kind of links can you place within your own site that helps your ability to rank? Again, AD and Anna, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for attending our first SEJ eSummit webinar, which will be building up to our next SEJ eSummit. It's been a pleasure to host both of you. This went off flawless. So thanks again, and thanks for everyone for attending.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Lauren. And
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks.